You're sitting in the waiting room of a credit union in a small Ohio town, and the chair next to you is filled by a man in a flannel shirt faded at the elbows, jeans with a grass stain that never came out, and boots caked with dried mud from his truck. Nobody in that lobby looks at him twice. The teller barely makes eye contact. Then his name gets called, and you catch a glimpse of the account screen behind the counter. $2.3 million. In that exact second, something clicks in your brain that most people never fully understand. The way someone looks almost never tells you what they're worth. Here's a number that should stop you cold. The average American household carries over $6,000 in credit card debt and still spends more per year on new cars, name-brand clothing, and eating out than it puts into retirement accounts. Somewhere along the way, looking successful became more important than being secure. Today, you're going to find out exactly why that trade-off is quietly bankrupting millions of hardworking people, why the wealthiest people you'll ever meet almost always look the least impressive, and how flipping that one habit can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Now, picture a different scene completely. It's Friday night in the parking lot of Steakhouse, and a brand new pickup truck pulls in so fast it nearly clips a parked minivan. Your brother steps out of it, freshly leased for $780 a month, wearing a jacket he bought that same afternoon because he needed something for tonight. Everyone at the table compliments the truck. Nobody asks what his checking account looks like after the lease payment, the insurance, and the credit card he's been sliding under the table all month. That's the trick hiding in plain sight. Spending and having look identical from the outside. They're not even close to the same thing on the inside. This confusion isn't an accident. It's baked into American culture on purpose, and it goes back further than you'd think. In the years after World War II, the U.S. economy needed people to buy things constantly to keep factories running. Advertising agencies on Madison Avenue figured out something powerful. If you could convince someone that a new refrigerator, a new car, or a new suit said something about who they were, you didn't just sell one refrigerator, you created a customer for life. Before that, a nice house or a fine horse actually meant something, because producing those things took real money and real time. There was no other way to fake it. That stopped being true a long time ago. Today, looking rich has almost nothing to do with being rich. 7-year auto loans exist. Store credit cards with sky-high limits get handed to people with mediocre credit. You can lease a luxury SUV for less per month than plenty of people pay in cell phone bills. The gap between the appearance of money and the reality of money has never been wider, and yet most people still read outward signals as if they mean something. It creates a strange performance where everyone is quietly stretched thin and pretending not to be, in front of an audience that's just as stretched thin and just as busy pretending back. Research popularized in the personal finance world, including the well-known findings behind The Millionaire Next Door, found something that surprised almost everyone when it first came out. Most American millionaires don't live in mansions or drive luxury cars. They live in unremarkable homes in unremarkable neighborhoods, drive vehicles that are several years old, and go completely unnoticed by the people around them. Meanwhile, plenty of the households living in the biggest houses on the block, leasing the newest SUVs, turned out to have a negative net worth once you actually subtracted what they owed. The lesson isn't that spending money is wrong. The lesson is that what you see and what someone actually has are almost never the same number. Let's make this real with a side-by-side comparison, because ideas like this land harder with actual numbers attached. Picture two people, both 32 years old, both living in Austin, Texas, both earning exactly $82,000 a year. Call the first one your coworker. Your coworker leases a new SUV for $610 a month, moves downtown for $2,100 a month because it's closer to everything, refreshes their wardrobe every season, and eats out 4 or 5 nights a week, partly because the food is good, partly because it photographs well. Once rent, the lease, the clothes, and dinner are covered, there's usually less than $200 left, and that $200 almost always disappears into something unexpected. Now picture your friend, same salary, same city. Your friend drives a 5-year-old Honda that's already paid off. Their one-bedroom apartment costs $1,300 a month in a perfectly fine but unremarkable part of town. Their closet hasn't changed much in 2 years. Nobody scrolling their social media would guess they bring home $82,000 a year because there's almost nothing to see. But $1,100 of every paycheck gets automatically pulled into a retirement account and a brokerage account before your friend even has the chance to spend it. Run that forward 10 years. The difference between those two lives isn't a few $1,000s. Assuming a modest 8% average return, that steady $1,100 a month turns into more than $200,000, not counting any raises along the way. Your coworker, meanwhile, is standing in almost the exact same financial spot as day one, just with 10 more years of car payments behind them. And here's the part that should really sit with you. For that entire decade, your coworker looked like the successful one. Your friend looked, at best, unremarkable. The truth was the exact opposite of what everyone assumed just by looking. There's a reason this trade keeps happening even to smart, hardworking people, and it isn't stupidity, it's brain chemistry. When your coworker rolls up in that new truck and someone says, "Nice ride," their brain gets an instant hit of validation. It's fast, it's visible, and it feels good enough to chase again next month. Investing doesn't offer that same rush. Nobody stops you in a parking lot to congratulate you for automatically transferring $400 into an index fund. There's no photo to post. The reward for that $400 shows up years later, quietly, as options and freedom instead of applause. Your brain, left on autopilot, will always prefer the fast reward over the slow one. Building real wealth basically means overriding that autopilot on purpose, month after month for years. Here's something people rarely talk about, and it might be the most important part of this whole video. Looking financially unremarkable isn't just smart budgeting, it's protection. When nothing about your car, your clothes, or your house signals extra money, you quietly remove yourself from several kinds of risk at once. Salespeople stop steering you toward the extended warranty and the premium trim level because they don't read you as an easy yes. Distant relatives stop casually mentioning how tight things are right before payday because nobody assumes you're sitting on spare cash. And in the rare, worst-case scenario of a lawsuit, attorneys working on contingency genuinely do weigh how much a person appears to have before deciding whether a case is worth taking. Visible wealth, fairly or not, makes you a more attractive target. Invisible wealth almost never does. Your uncle is proof of exactly how this plays out in real life, far away from Wall Street. For 20 years, he's run a small laundromat and car wash on the same corner of town. He drives a dented work truck held together with more duct tape than paint, wears the same 3 flannel shirts on rotation, and reinvests almost everything the business throws off instead of upgrading his own lifestyle. Today, that business, plus 2 rental storefronts he owns outright next door, is worth north of $2 million. Almost nobody in town would guess it, because nothing about how he lives gives it away. 2 blocks down, another shop owner tells a completely different story. He opened his store 5 years ago with a flashy renovation, an expensive lease on a car he can barely afford, and an ad budget he keeps stretching every month to keep up appearances. From the outside, he looks like the success story. In reality, one slow month, one broken piece of equipment, one late-paying client, and the whole thing is one bad quarter away from collapse. Same amount of hustle as your uncle. Completely different foundation underneath it, because one of them built substance first and the other built appearance first. This is where it stops being abstract and becomes something you can actually use starting today. Before any big purchase, ask yourself one blunt question. Am I buying this for me? Or am I buying this so someone else notices? A car that gets you to work reliably is a decision. A car chosen mainly because of what your neighbor will think when it pulls into the driveway is an emotional impulse wearing a financial disguise. That single question, asked honestly and consistently, quietly saves people tens of thousands of dollars over a decade without them ever feeling deprived. The second shift matters even more than the first, the order you do things in. Most people spend first and save whatever happens to be left, which most months ends up being close to nothing. People who actually build wealth flip that order completely. The moment a paycheck lands, a fixed percentage moves straight into investments before it ever has the chance to become a purchase. It doesn't need to be dramatic to start. Even $100 a month, automated so you never have to think about it, compounds into real money over 20 or 30 years. The habit matters far more than the exact number you start with. The third shift is almost philosophical. Stop measuring your life against a highlight reel that isn't even real to begin with. Your brother's new truck, your coworker's vacation photos, your friend's remodeled kitchen, most of it is financed, leased, or borrowed against tomorrow's paycheck. The only comparison that actually tells you anything useful is your own life today versus your own life exactly 1 year ago. That's the only scoreboard that reflects reality instead of performance. None of this means living like you're broke or denying yourself every pleasure. It means understanding there's a real difference between enjoying money privately and performing it publicly. And that difference has actual, measurable consequences for your bank account and your safety. You can own a genuinely comfortable home that looks unremarkable from the street. You can travel, enjoy good meals, and treat yourself without turning every purchase into content for an audience that, honestly, isn't thinking about you nearly as much as it feels like they are. If any part of this hit home, there's a free breakdown called the Invisible Wealth Blueprint that walks through exactly how to restructure your spending so your money starts working for your future instead of your image. To grab it, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and drop a comment telling me. Have you ever felt pressure to spend money just so people would think things were going well? Or do you know someone like your uncle in this story, quietly building real wealth while everyone assumes they're just getting by? Every comment gets read, and yours might be exactly what someone else needs to see today. Let's go back to that credit union lobby one more time, because the ending matters more than anything else in this video. That man in the faded flannel shirt didn't start with $2.3 million. He started with an ordinary paycheck, an ordinary truck, and one decision he made a long time ago and never talked himself out of. For 20 years, while people around him upgraded cars and moved into bigger houses, he kept driving the same truck and reinvesting the difference, without exception, without just this once. People who only knew him casually probably assumed he hadn't done much with his life. Meanwhile, his net worth was compounding quietly in the background the entire time, completely invisible until the day it became the number on that account screen. He could walk onto any car lot in that county today and drive off in whatever he wants without denting his savings even slightly. He simply doesn't need to. Not because he can't afford it, but because he figured out a long time ago that real freedom was never about being able to buy something expensive. Real freedom is not needing a single other person to know that you could. So the next time you feel that pull to buy something just so people notice you're doing well, stop and ask yourself the only question that actually matters. Is this for my life, or is this for an audience? That question, asked honestly enough times, is the real difference between looking wealthy and actually becoming free.